and then you just do your time. I mean, like, to me, the worst part of being in prison was that I had no purpose. And once I started writing, I had a purpose again. And so my time went very, very quickly. For instance,
Here you go. Here's the. All right. Hey, YouTube guys out there. I got Matt Cox with us today. I'm very excited to have this guy. He's got a YouTube channel out there, guy. He's what, FBI's most wanted list for a while there. Been on American Greed, Dateline, written a lot of books. He's an artist, an author, podcaster. Matt, you've been doing a lot, man. Been doing a lot.
Yeah. It's Secret Service's most wanted. I was the FBI, but I was the Secret Service's most wanted. But yeah, Ray gets that wrong because somebody put FBI one time, and that just seems to keep getting populated. FBI's most wanted. I mean, I was on the list, but but that's not I was number one on the Secret Service's most wanted list. Not that anybody even knows they have a list. Anyway,
well, they do now. Yeah.
So what's going on?
Well, yeah, I did 52 months wire fraud. I had my own little scheme doing false tax preparation for mainly a bunch of drug addicts and homeless, but I got a $1.7 million restitution. I know you got a restitution. What's yours?
It's 6 million. My PSI says 9.5 million, but I argued with them to provide the proof, and we went back and forth, and finally they said, will you agree to 6 million? I was like, between 6 million and 3.5 million, like there was no difference.
Right.
I was like, yeah, that's fine. Like, sure, whatever. Like, I'm so beaten down by that point.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man.
It's like, you're 20 or what, 15 years ago, I'm arguing about something that I thought I'm already looking at 15 or 20 years in the future. I'm like, is this going to matter? Like, what's important is right now.
Right now.
My time is what matters. I'll deal with that later.
So I pay $100 a month to restitution. What are you paying? $500 a month? Probably something.
Fucking 650, 800. I mean, they literally, like, I don't think my judge 15, 16 years ago understood what bills would be like when I got out. So he was like, oh, it's $150 a month you have to pay. And anything over $2,000, you have to pay 25%.
Oh, you
so
got
it's like,
yeah.
Right. But so if you start doing, if you go, oh, okay, well, if you start doing the math, you start to realize, for me to pay my basic bills and pay restitution, I have to make like $6,000 or $7,000 a month.
Yeah.
Like it's an impossible. So I'm every fucking month I'm struggling and struggling and struggling. Every month.
Every month. Yeah, I know the feeling. And how much time did you get?
Oh yeah, and I can't work in any of the areas that I have an expertise in. I can't work in. Can't work in finance, can't work in real estate, can't work in development, can't work in construction, can't work in the real estate industry, nothing.
Nothing. And nothing probably handling other people's credit cards or identity, nothing like that.
All finance. That's all falls under finance.
That's all finance, yeah. Wow. So that leaves, it's pretty restrictive, yeah.
Right. When I was actually in the halfway house, I had a friend who owned a construction company that probably had about 40 employees. And she said, look, I'll hire you for $15 an hour. All you got to do is pick up people and drop them off at the work, the work site, because a lot of these guys, they don't have they can't get there. They have DUIs, they're alcoholics, whatever. They can't even get there. Like you're a skilled laborer, but you can't get yourself there. So she was like, look, I'll pay you just to go pick up. You'll probably be picking up 10 guys. And then she goes, and then you can drive to like Home Depot, pick things up, like just be like a runner, 15 bucks. She's like, you can do that for 6 months till you get out of the halfway house. I thought, what a great job.
That's perfect. That works. Yeah.
You're just sitting in the truck all day. My probation officer said no.
What?
And I said, what are you talking about? Like, I can't work in construction. I don't know why, but for some reason it says construction. Because they're saying you bought houses and fixed them up. I'm like, well, and then sold them as a part of your scheme. Yeah, but I didn't do the fixing up, and there's nothing fraudulent about the construction. And my probation officer is like, look, that's what it says.
Wow.
You can't do it. She goes, I said, so you're telling me I can't drive a truck? She goes, you can't dig a ditch. You can't paint a house for a construction company. I was like, fuck.
Shit, you can't drive either. Damn. Wow.
So yeah. So anyway, you were saying, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, how much time did they give you in the feds?
316 months, which is 26 years and 4 months.
So obviously you didn't do that much time.
No, I did almost 13 years, almost. Okay. Just shy of 13, a few months shy.
And you started off at what, Coleman Medium, I think?
Right. First went, of course, I was in the Marshall's lockup for a year.
So you didn't get out on pretrial, a bond, or anything like that. You were a flight risk, yeah.
So I've been on. I was on the run for 3 years.
Yeah.
When they caught me, I've had about 24 passports. But when they actually physically caught me, they had, I think, 6 fraudulent passports that they caught me with. So no. When I was on the run, I had plastic surgery. You know, I had done a lot of things that made them feel like if they let me out, I would not return.
You know how many viewers I get that are thinking about going on the run? And I thought about it, but I don't know where to get a fake ID or passport. I see in the movies. I went to Home Depot and asked all the Mexicans one day, can you hook me up with a fake ID? And they said, yeah, it's easier to find those for white people, right? It's hard finding our own. And they told me $500. And, you know, but I never went back. I thought about it, and they said they can't, it's not going to work for sliding the magnetic strip or social security number, but I don't know where you know, and then I watch your videos and, you know, I see it can be done. I think only in the movies. And then I see that I guess you had your ways, right? I
mean, the best place to get them is a DMV. So
yeah, fake birth certificate or something, or somebody who died, used their birth certificate. No,
died. If they're dead, then when they die, usually the funeral home has applied for their death benefit, which is nothing. It's like $250. But now Social Security knows that you're dead. So they then put a little notation that says this person is deceased. Wow. So when they run your ID to get you the ID, they run your social through uscitizen.gov. When they run you through that, with your name, it says deceased. Like this Social Security number belongs to someone who's deceased 7 years or 15 years or whatever. So it's like, what they said, they'll look at it and they'll go, oh, okay, hold on a second, sit down, we'll call you in a minute. And that's when the sheriff walks in.
That's when they hit that button. Yeah.
So
my mother worked at the DMV, and she told me when somebody came in with warrants or whatever, they had a button, and she said, you know, just what you said, they tell you to take a seat, and next thing you know, she would push that button.
We got somebody for you.
Yeah.
Somebody's coming for you right now. No, I mean, I would interview like homeless people, or I would put an ad in the paper and have people call and apply for a mortgage loan on their house. So if I run an ad in Florida and I'm answering the phone in, you know, whatever, South Carolina, well, if they've never had a driver's license in South Carolina, I'd order their birth certificate, Social Security card, register to vote in their name. And then I take that information and I'd go in and I'd actually order their driving record in Florida. Then I'd get all that stuff sent to me. And then I would take that information and I'd walk into the DMV and say, hey, I just moved here a couple months ago and I lost my license and I got a new license anyway, so I'm here. And then I'd give them my documents and they would say, okay, you're good. Stand over there.
Wow.
Usually I would go in first and get like an ID, but sometimes I'd go straight in and just get a driver's license. I've taken driving tests in South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, where I actually had to take when I started doing the homeless people, I started having to take the tests. because these guys haven't driven in 8
Right.
years. Their license is expired. So now I have to take the test again.
Yeah, the actual driving test. Yeah. Wow.
I remember in South Carolina, I almost failed it. I got up like, I mean, you know, you're sitting there like click, like no big, okay, click, then boom, I missed it. Okay, click, boom, missed it. Whoa, I need to pay attention. Like I started paying attention. I was like, whoa.
Yeah. You know, I get guys ask me all the time about their first day in prison, what it's going to be like. And, you know, I went to a camp and I know a little about the low security, but the mediums, man, you remember your first day in a medium, man? What that, can you maybe tell people what that was like? How do you survive a medium, being a white collar guy or nonviolent criminal?
You know, there were a couple of, there were very few, like there's the medium, there was about 1,600 inmates at Coleman medium. At the low, there's about 1,800. So there's about 1,600 guys there. And I mean, initially, I didn't talk to anybody. Like the very first day, you know, you get there and they talk, SIS talks to you. Well, medical comes in and talks to you. Like, you know, you have all these people come in through and they have a quick conversation with you. And then they give you you go to this one unit, which is a transfer unit. And so, you know, I went to the transfer unit and I walk up, I gave my little bed card and they gave me a cell and I went in, you know, I'm in there I got sent in with a, I forget what they call them. Basically they're American, but they're Mexican-American guy, this Mexican guy. And he said, you know, hey, what's up? I'm your cellie. I brought my bunk, all my bedroll and everything, put it up, made my bed. And then I kind of went out and was kind of just walking around the little pod, like, right. There's like 150 guys in the pod. I'm just kind of checking it out and, you know, being quiet, not talking to anybody. People are looking at you because you're new. Yeah. And I'm just being quiet. And all of a sudden I start hearing this woo, and they start screaming, lockdown, lockdown. And I'm just watching everybody race around. And then my cellie comes up to me and he goes, Cellie. He said, you got to go in the room now. You got to go in the room now. And I'm like, what's going on? He said, somebody got stabbed in the rec yard. And I went, someone got stabbed. I go, someone died? And he goes, no, they just stabbed them up a little bit.
Just a little, yeah.
A little bit. And I went, whoa. And so I go in the room, they locked it up. And like an hour later, they opened it up they counted us. An hour later, they opened it up for chow. I mean, like it's bizarre being there. I really didn't talk to anybody for a few days. Like very few people did I talk to for a few days.
So at the camp, you know, we don't really have the cars and the gangs. I mean, the Mexicans kind of do, but no paperwork is asked. You know, nobody cares what you did. But I hear in the mediums and the penitentiaries, you got to show your paperwork and be in a car. Or I don't know. It's worse in the penitentiaries, but is it like that in the mediums?
It's definitely like that in the medium. So when I did eventually talk to a guy, he asked to see like a white guy. After a couple of days, a white guy kind of approached me and was talking to me. And he said, well, you're going to have to show your paperwork. And I was like, oh, okay. I was like, well, paperwork, what do you mean? And he explained my pre-sentence report. And I was like, oh, okay. And I actually had it. Like I had my lawyer had mailed it in. Like, so literally, and when I got there, like she had mailed stuff in. So I just gotten it. I was like, oh, so I think it was, maybe I showed it to him a few days later, whatever. I ended up showing it to him and he looked at it and he goes, oh, okay, you're good. And I go, what do you mean? He said, well, you know, you didn't cooperate against anybody. And I went, oh no, I cooperated against some people. I said, I just doesn't say it in there because nothing happened. So I said, there's nothing, you know, I said, nothing ever happened. I said, but I definitely, I said, everybody cooperated against me and I cooperated too.
Yeah, me too, man. Yeah.
That was not the thing to say.
Not the thing to say.
But I really didn't know that. I knew it, but I wasn't that concerned about it. It was a medium. And I had already heard that like I already heard that like everybody was cooperating. Like, don't talk to anybody about your case. Don't this, don't that. And so, and the guy looked at me, he was like, well, I wouldn't be telling people that. And it's like, well, then what are you looking at my paperwork for? Now, of course, I'm sure told people. Like it got around pretty quickly. And honestly, within a year, an article had come out in the St. Petersburg Times where I had also cooperated against a politician that I'd bribed. I'd gotten this guy elected. I paid like, he ran a campaign in my district on the, not the county commission. It was the, whatever. It was like the different seats in the city. So he was not a commissioner, council member. So my area was he was the council member. Those things are run off about 30 grand, right? To do and I paid him, giving him 22,000. And so, I got him elected, and the FBI had come to talk to me about it. And they said, hey, look, we got all these canceled checks from you. We got canceled checks from all these other people. Everybody seems to know you. Like, you're the biggest donor. Apparently you gave him, like, I forget what I gave him, like 7,000 or 8,000 in cash at one point. He's like, and when you gave him that money, the next day he deposited the money into his account. Like, he walked in and deposited like 7 grand and 6 grand, and I'd given him like 7,000 in cash. So they were like, it's obvious. We can even see where you took the money out of the bank during a scam. So I was running a scam, and I had a buddy of mine withdraw a bunch of money and give me 7 grand. That day I gave that guy, Kevin, his name was Kevin White, I gave him $7,000. The next day he deposited like $6,000 in his account. So it was like, we could clearly see.
Yeah. The whole pattern's there. Yeah.
Right. So they asked me about it. And I remember the FBI he said, oh, by the way, so the name of the scam that I was running I was using a synthetic identity. Synthetic identity's name was Michael Kevin White. This guy's name was like Kevin M. White, I think. Synthetic
identity. I heard you talk about one of those in one of your videos once. Refresh my memory. Synthetic.
So that's a fabricated identity. I figured out how to get Social Security to issue Social Security numbers to people that don't exist. And then once I did that, I would apply for 3 credit cards in their name, and I'd make 6 months worth, or 3 secured credit cards, not real credit cards, but secured credit cards. Right. And I'd make the payments for 6 months, and in 6 months, they'd have 700 credit scores. So now I had someone that if you pull his credit, he's got 3 credit cards, 700 plus credit scores. He looks like a real person. I could register to vote in their name. I could get an ID in their name. Like, I could get all the stuff I need. So I could buy a house and flip a house, or I could buy a house and refinance the house and pull out money and dump the whole thing. So that's what I was in the middle of doing. And I made this specific one in the name Michael Kevin White. And so this guy's name was Kevin White. And so the FBI said, so you were running a scam for a guy named Michael Kevin White, and you withdrew money and gave it to the real Kevin White, so to help get him elected. I went, right. And they said, and he knew he was being bribed. I said, oh, yeah, absolutely. We had conversations where I was giving him the money to get him elected, so he could then vote for me to refinance about 100 properties that I had, vacant properties that were zoned single family. I wanted them all zoned multifamily. So it'd make them all at least 3 times, it'd triple their value. And that was our agreement. I'll get you elected, but you do this.
That's how politics work, right? Scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, right? Pretty much, just on a bigger scale.
It does, but it's illegal.
Legally. I knew a guy named Jason Smith I did time with, and he worked for some company where he had access to all these files, and he found every Jason Smith that already had credit cards out there, because it's a common name since he already had the ID, and he'd order, replacement cards, and he went on a binge, man. And, and he was Jason Smith. So,
Yeah, he's still going to end up in prison. Like,
he did. Oh, he did. I don't know if he was there for that, but he was, he did. And he was in South America, and they extradited him. They found him out there. So you can't run, man. If they want you.
I always love that, where guys say, oh, why didn't you take off on the run? Because they'll find you and they'll just bring you back. Like, go to a country without extradition. No, that's not going to work. Then the FBI just comes in and kidnaps you and takes you away. Like, how many guys I met in the medium who'd been kidnapped in their own country because there was no extradition?
Right.
And people think, oh, they won't let you. Look, you're insane. Not just that, especially if you're an American citizen living in that country. There's a guy named Scott Pritchard who was living in South Africa with his girlfriend. There was no extradition treaty. The FBI called the South Africans and said, one of our citizens lives in this apartment complex. We're grabbing him and we're grabbing his girlfriend. They're both indicted for bank robbery, and we're picking them up. We're bringing them to the airport. Don't go in the area. And you know what the South African police said? Thank you for letting us know. No problem.
Wow.
I mean, that's just that people are delusional. They don't really understand how things work. They watch TV and they think, you know, and they got their buddy Brad who told them this is how it works. And, you know, Brad's a smart guy. He works for FedEx.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's just like, what are you doing? Well, no, this is how it works. Why? Because Brad told you? Like,
Brad told you. Yeah.
So my point is, yeah, so that happens all the time. So, yeah, I had synthetic identity. So I remember the FBI, they got me in the, I'm in the visitation room and they're sitting there. And the guy says, so you took money from a synthetic identity scam you were running. You gave it to the real person. And they said, did he know? And I went, about what? And they go, about the scam. I said, no, no. And he goes, okay, Matt, how did he not know? And I went, well, he didn't know because I said, he goes, why'd you name your guy Michael Kevin White? And I went, because I'd seen his signs around the neighborhood.
Oh.
I said, so I was already naming a lot of my synthetic identities. Like I was naming like David Silver, James Red, Brandon Green, you know, Lee Black. Like I was already naming them, color coding them. And I said, and I saw Michael, one day I drove by, I saw like Kevin White. And I thought, hey, I'll name a guy that. So I named a guy, Michael Kevin White, no big deal. And he goes, okay, Matt, the bribery charges that when you bribed him. I said, right. He said, the statute of limitations is up on that. I went, okay.
That's good, right?
No, it's good for what? I'm already in prison.
Oh, you're already in prison. No, but I mean, they can't charge you for the bribery.
I don't care if they charge me for the bribery. I got 26 years.
No, yeah, who gives a fuck? Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, but he said that they're trying to charge him.
Okay.
So they're telling me the bribery charges on him, the statute of limitations is already up. And I went, okay. I went, well, why are you here? They said, well, because if he knew about the scam that you were running in his name, and he was a part of that, and he knew about it, and he knew he was going to get money from it.
Oh, conspiracy charges.
And he would be guilty of conspiracy to commit bank fraud. He goes, and you were taking that money from a bank, so the statute of limitations on that crime has not run out. And I went, right, I understand. He goes, so did he know about it? And I went, no, he didn't know about it. And he went, the FBI looked at me and he goes, the FBI agent goes, he said, you understand that a jury wouldn't believe that he didn't know. It's got the same name, and we can prove that he got the money from the scam. Some of the money, obviously it was hundreds of thousands of dollars, but he clearly got some. And I went, right. And he said, plus we have another one of your guys, one of your co-defendants, who is telling us that he also knew and he was getting the money, or that he was getting the money. And I went, well, not that he knew, but that he was getting the money. And I went, right. And he goes, so did he know? And I went, no, he didn't know. I told you he didn't. Like, I didn't understand. The FBI was trying to tell us he was in on the scam,
right,
and you get your time cut.
Yeah.
I didn't realize what he was saying because, you know, I kind of, in a way, I hate to say that because I kind of felt like I almost did, like it was like, and so I remember I was like, I said, well, I mean, that's not true. I said, what, do you want me to lie? He goes, no, I don't want you to lie at all. I'm just saying if he did know, we could indict him and that would help you. Did he know? And I went, no. Like looking back on it, if I knew how the system worked now,
I'd
been like, fuck yeah, he knew.
That's your ticket. Yeah.
He knew. Like, this guy's already a scumbag.
He's going away anyways. If the feds got you, they got you anyways.
Oh, listen, they never indicted him for that. So a year later, they indict him on bribery charges for something else. But it's also, he's bribing.
That's how they are. If they can't get you on one charge, they'll get you on another one. When you're on their sheet, you're on their sheet, man.
Well, it's not that. It's that he was a crooked politician.
And he was crooked. So yeah.
So they got him on another bribery charge. and he went to trial and he lost, and he ended up getting like 3 years. So it was like, it was stupid. He was going to go to jail anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there saying, no, it's not. No. Like, I don't even know what I was thinking. Cause if once you go to prison and you realize how it works, you're in such a shitty situation, and you realize just how horrible the system is. It's bad. I mean, and that guy was trying to give me an out on a guy that clearly was guilty of fraud. He committed fraud, and then he continued to commit it and got charged later. And, my dumb ass was like, no, that's not what happened. Whatever. But anyway, yeah, so the meeting, what happened was when I met with the FBI, there ended up being an article about that whole thing and them investigating him and coming to see me. And they even talked to my lawyer. My lawyer said, oh, I know the FBI's talked to him several times. So that there is front page on the St. Petersburg Times. So they put me in the shoe for my own protection, protective custody. So I was in there for about 45 days. And then they let me back out on the compound. So they come to me and they said, look, Cox, do you want us to ship you? And I went, for what? And they went, because the newspaper is everywhere. It says that you're cooperating. And I go, half the guys here, if you scream snitch, they turn around. He goes, it's more like 95%.
Yeah, it's a.
He said, but 100% are lying about it. He said, and you may get a hard time. I said, I don't care. I said, I'm not here to make friends. Like, nobody's going to do anything to me. What are they going to do? They're going to say, don't walk the yard. Well, I mean, I'll walk the yard. And if I get beat up, I get beat up. I got too much. I'm just not going to be chased around. Like if people are calling me names or whatever, fuck them. I don't give a shit. And luckily I got very few people ever said anything to me. I had some friends that were there. I met some guys that were good guys to hang out with. And nobody really bothered me. And then after 3 years, I got moved to to the low. And when I got to the low, same thing, that same jacket followed me. Oh, this guy is a snitch. This guy cooperated. This guy did, which is funny because I didn't get a reduction. At that time, I hadn't gotten a reduction. I just didn't give a shit about who knew.
Yeah.
I used to say all the time, guys would be like, hey, Cox, how much time you get? And I go, I got 26 years. I said, but somebody might slip up and tell me where there's a body buried, and I could be out of here tomorrow.
Yeah, you tell me where the bodies are. I'm going to draw you a map, man.
Yeah, and I just, so I would laugh about it. But, and they would be like, oh, it's like that? Yeah, it's like that. I'm not here to make friends. So, oh, that's fucked up, Cox. And you go, yeah, all right. But it's so funny because it's better to just either deny it from the get-go or just own up to it and just understand that, you're going to be alone most of the time and you're better off.
Yeah.
So I ended up at the low. I ended up with a group of guys that were pretty cool. You end up with 4 or 5 guys that you hang out with most of the time. And I just didn't talk to anybody.
You were there with RDAP Dan, weren't you?
Yeah. No. Wait. I was there, but I didn't know him. Like, we were there at the same time, but we never talked or met.
Okay.
Look, now the low is 1,800 guys, and I'm in a different building.
Yeah, that's big.
He was in RDAP. Like, he went into RDAP almost immediately.
Okay. Did you do RDAP?
I did RDAP twice.
Ah, yeah. You didn't make it the first round. You got retread?
I never made it.
You never made it. Oh.
No. I only went in RDAP so that they would put a management variable on me. So a management variable is when they can't move you from an institution. Like, he has a management variable. He has to stay at this institution.
Okay.
If you're in a program like RDAP, they put one on you for a year. So I checked into RDAP. I went in and said, look, I got an alcohol problem, or no, I think I said opiates. I have an Oxycontin problem or whatever. And it was in my PSI, and the judge recommended it.
Okay.
So they let me in, and I waited 6 months before they put it on me. Because they were telling me they were going to ship me. So what happened was I got my sentence reduced twice. And then my counselor comes to me and says, we got to ship you to a camp. Like, you should never have been you shouldn't have, you're only at the low. because you had so much time. But now you're going to be out in a couple, in like 2-3 years. So, and I was like, fuck, if they send me to a camp, like I won't be able to see my mom. And my mom used to come see me every 2 weeks. So I was like, I was trying to figure out how to stay. And they were like, you have camp points. Like you have like I came in with like 3 points and I was down to like 1 point.
Okay. Yeah, I know 11 points or less, you're camp material. So,
right.
Yeah.
So I was only at the medium and the low because I had so much time.
Coleman has a camp too, don't they?
They had a women's camp, which is now it's now a men's camp.
Okay. Okay.
So they were going to ship me. And I thought, fuck, so I went in, I applied for RDAP. I got into RDAP and it took them about 6 months before they finally put a management variable on me. And when they did, I immediately walked in and put a note under the doctor's door who runs the program. And I said, boom, please check me out. I want to go back to my old unit. I'm done. And she did. Like 2 weeks later, she said, okay, I'm gonna let you go back. And she moved me. So I should have been good for a year.
Yeah.
It turns out that they were pushing so hard to get people into camps, they took the management variable off me.
Wow.
So 4 months later, my counselor calls me in and says, we're shipping you to a camp. And I said, you can't, I have a management variable. They said, I know, I'm applying to have it taken off. I said, but it's good for a year. And she said, typically it is, but under special circumstances, we can have it removed. And I'm having it removed because they only put it on you for RDAP. She said, and on top of that, she said, we really are being pushed to put people in camps and you shouldn't be here. But I'm still thinking, my mom comes to see me every 2 weeks. If I go to a camp, I won't be able to see her.
Yeah.
So I said, well, you can't do that. I'm supposed to be going back to RDAP. She goes, you are? I said, yeah. I said, I was just approved and they're bringing me back like at the end of this week. And she goes, oh gosh, I didn't know that. No, that's a complete lie. So I turned around, she goes, okay, well, then I'll hold off on putting this in. I said, no problem. I turn around, I go straight to the RDAP and I say, hey, I need to be checked back in. I got a problem. I need this program.
Yeah.
And so they brought me back to the program, put me back in, put the management variable back on me about 5 months later. And I immediately checked out again.
Yeah.
So I went back to my unit for about 2 months and then I went straight to a halfway house.
Okay. All right. Most people would have jumped at going to a camp, but I understand your mom, the visits and all that.
And I had friends at the low. Like I had a good routine.
And I guess you felt comfortable there. And I did all my time at a camp and, we don't have the fences at a camp. So we got the good stuff, real cigarettes, whatever you want, real alcohol. You don't have to depend on the guards to bring anything in. You just walk to the side of the road and pick up a bag, Some guys go to the store, come back, just be back by count, It's crazy.
I heard the guys in Atlanta were actually leaving the camp, going and robbing 7-Elevens and stuff and shit, and then they were coming back.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, they go stay at the motel, meet their girl, whatever.
Girlfriend.
Yeah. One time at the camp, I woke up and my neighbor 2 doors down wasn't my neighbor that day. It was some other imposter. He had street clothes on and he had done a switch for the count. So when the guards come down at night, because they don't, lift up your face. And he was it was early in the morning before the sun cracked up. And he was out the door to go do the switch so the other guy could come back. Amazing, man. Who would do that? Sneak into a prison overnight just so some guy, I don't know what they paid him to do that, but crazy shit, man.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
Yeah, my second night at prison, at the camp there, they caught a guy out in the middle of the field picking up a duffel bag full of, alcohol, cell phones, cigarettes, and he was getting released at 6 a.m. that day, but he wanted to take care of his gambling debt, so he had his wife meet him at the side of the road. He couldn't wait till he got released and then dropped the bag off the night, the next night. Or anyways, they caught him and his wife, added 2 years to his sentence, gave his wife a year. This is my second day in prison. I'm going, really? This is how it works? Amazing, man. Yeah, amazing. I got guys getting ready to get sentenced. They call me all the time. And you know, a lot of them are going to the Lowe's, and they want. Do you know anything about going these Lowe's now with the quarantine? What they got to do 2-3 weeks quarantine now, and you know anything how that works?
Yeah. Like they have to do like 14 days, or is it 21 days? So they'll put them in the shoe for like 2 weeks.
Okay.
And, you know, and then they test them. And then if they're okay, then they send them to, one of the housing units. But the problem is like they keep having outbreak after outbreak, because you got to think the guards are leaving and coming back. So
Sure.
the guards are leaving, getting it, coming back, giving it to people in the unit. Well, then why am I having to be quarantined when the guards keep leaving it and bringing it back? It's like cell phones. They're always busting the inmates with cell phones. And it's like, the guards are bringing it. I didn't go buy this cell phone. The only way to get this cell phone is the guards. Why don't you guys pat them down?
Yeah.
Search through their stuff.
Yeah, I know. When they come in with their backpacks all full and then they're empty when they leave. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah. I get it, man. I get it. So how long have you had your YouTube channel? About, I think, over a year, right?
It's about a year right now, but I've only been focusing on it I had like a month and a half where I didn't post anything. Other than that, I've been serious about it for the last maybe 4 or 5 months, 6 months. And prior to that, I was pretty serious, but it was just me. Like I was just videoing myself.
Yeah, that's when I found you. Yeah.
Right. So now I've got a guy, a video editor that I work with, and he picks guests and he does a whole bunch of stuff and he videos everything. And that now I'm doing more like kind of like a concrete kind of thing where I'm interviewing.
Yeah, I've seen it, the concrete now. And who's the other guy? M something. There's a studio you go.
Yes. Yeah, MSCS Media.
Yeah, media. Yeah, were you guys friends before?
Yeah, I've known him for a while. Yeah.
Okay. And he has a cameraman in there or something that goes back and forth, or
Same thing like I have, where they've got like the switch, the 3 different cameras, and they switch it from you to him to you to him to, you know, to a wide shot to.
Okay. Yeah, I'm still living in a sober living house, so I'm sharing a room, and what you see here is a little half room bedroom that I got, you know, while I'm on, you know, my probation here, because they're happy with me being here, but you know, it's my next step. I'm getting my own apartment, but you know, one step at a time. I've been out about 2 years. I got a year left on probation.
Right.
I've seen that you're getting you got a travel pass to go to Amsterdam lately.
Oh yeah, well, there was a documentary being done called "The Psychology of a Con Artist."
Yeah, the Olympic Con Man Olympics, something like that.
Yeah, that's Danny. That's what Danny's like. That's his clickbait title. That's the name of the show is that I just went to Amsterdam for, is called Psychology of a Con Artist. So they're doing they did six different parts on 6 different con artists, and they basically have you do a bunch of tests, and they have you meet with psychiatrists, and it's a whole kind of I don't know, analytical thing they're doing, try and figure out like what makes someone a con artist, I guess. I don't know. It's interesting, and it was a cool show. It was cool to go there and do that. I had to get permission from my judge to go. So I mean, because I can't get a passport just by myself. So I had to get permission, 1, to leave. You know, first I had to get permission just to leave the country, and 2, you have to get permission so the judge had to give me permission to first get my passport, and secondly to leave the country to do this. So and then of course my probation officer has to give me a travel pass.
Right. So it is possible to leave the country. People have been asking me. I got a friend, he's from Jordan. He wants to go visit his family and come back. So I guess it is possible. Okay.
Well, I mean, it depends. I have other friends so if you have dual citizenship, it's a very possibly an issue.
Okay.
So if you're a U.S. citizen and it's for work, and it's work related, then you have a good chance of being able to go. Like the first time I was on probation, I was allowed to go to Norway and England.
Wow.
Because I've been in trouble before. So I was allowed to go then. Once again, had to go to the judge, had to ask permission. They gave me my passport back because I actually had one at that time. So they gave it back to me, let me go, come back. So, so I knew it was possible. And in this case, it was specifically for work. It wasn't like I was going there. Every time I talk to somebody, everybody's like, oh, bro, so that's cool. You went to Amsterdam. I was like, okay, well, it wasn't, I was there for work. I did have like a day and a half just because of the way the flight was, where I actually was able to kind of walk around the city, which was cool, but everything's closed. Yeah. Like you can't go to museums. You can't, like, I wanted to go to Anne Frank's, the Anne Frank Museum.
Right. Yeah.
It's like 8 weeks. It's booked for 8 weeks. Like there's nothing I could really do. But listen, just walking around Amsterdam, after being in prison, sure. Being out of prison for 2 years and just walking around and looking at the boats and looking at the city and like that's such a gift. Like I was just thrilled, just like, wow, this is just great just being here. So, yeah. It would have been better if I'd been with somebody, but it was just me. It wasn't a vacation. So,
yeah. So what's next for Matt Cox? You got any movie deals lined up, documentaries, book signings, any kind of?
When I was locked up, I wrote about 20 synopses of different guys' stories, true crime stories, written 7 books. So I've got a bunch of books that are out. I got my memoir. In a way, I've got a couple of memoirs out because it's kind of me telling other guys' stories. And I'm kind of in there, like as I was kind of deconstructing the whole story, because some of the guys like would lie to you.
Sure.
And so you have to kind of order the Freedom of Information Act and order documents and figure out what's really happening.
Can people find how to get your books on if they go to your channel, like underneath the description, you got links?
Yeah, I do actually have links. That's a good.
Okay.
That or Amazon or anything, but
okay.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I'm currently working with a couple production companies. I'm trying to get some production deals. One of my guys is probably going to have a documentary done on him. It's pretty much for sure. And I got another guy that there's one in the works. It's just, I'm working all the angles and trying to do everything I can do to survive.
Yeah, no, I wish you the best. I don't want to see you go back to prison, I believe a tiger can change his stripes, believe it or not. That's what I try. I'm doing my best to do that. Hey, I do want to, thank you for your time and everything. But before we go, do you have some advice for a lot of people that call me are getting ready to go to prison? They've been sentenced and all that. You got some advice for them, or people that are just about to get sentenced? Maybe what they could say to the judge on that sentencing day?
Honestly, the PSI is done. Like that, the pre-sentence report is done. Like, I mean, what do? You take responsibility. There's really not much you can do unless you've cooperated and you've got like a 5K1 or a Rule 35 that's coming up. But I mean, you can basically just lay out, look, Your Honor, I made a mistake and this is what happened and I'm hoping to get out as soon as possible. So, the basically, but I think the judge hears it 1,000 times. I don't know that it does any good. I don't know that it doesn't, but I personally don't think it, I feel like they followed, basically they follow the PSI.
Yeah.
That's it. So to me, my whole thing is if you're going to prison, like your best bet is to find something to do that you enjoy. Don't talk about other people. Don't gossip. Don't borrow money. Don't borrow anything. Don't borrow money. Don't gamble. Don't gossip. Be respectful to everyone. Keep to yourself. Get a core group of guys that you can hang out with, and then you just do your time. I mean, like, to me, the worst part of being in prison was that I had no purpose. And once I started writing, I had a purpose again. And so my time went very, very quickly. For instance, RDAP, if I had completed RDAP, I would have gotten out a year early, right? Well, it would have been about 8 or 9 months early. Because I really didn't have enough. By the time they cut my sentence, I didn't have enough time. But regardless of that, the point is that I didn't even try and finish RDAP. I didn't get kicked out. I dropped out twice because I was so okay with being in prison by that point. I wasn't desperate to get out. I was enjoying writing these guys' stories. I knew what the environment was. And I was very, but I'd been in so long, I was very anxious about getting out. I literally, when I left prison and I looked back at the prison, I remember my brother said to me, well, I'll bet you're glad to be done with that place. And I started crying. And it wasn't because I was so relieved I was getting out. It was because I was leaving all of my friends. So my whole world was in that prison. So when I was leaving it, it was like I was leaving my family. These were all guys that there were 4 or 5 guys in there that I deeply, deeply liked and cared about. And I was leaving them, and you wouldn't, going into prison, you wouldn't think that. And I always mention this to guys, is that you think like, oh, you're going to, oh, it's hell and it's this and that. Well, your expectations of life are pretty high at this point. Once they get lowered, you'll start enjoying the little things. And I remember a guy told me one time, there are going to be moments. You don't think it right now. This is when I first got arrested. He goes, you don't think it right now, but there will be moments when you will be laughing and having a good time, and you will look around and you will think there's no place I'd rather be. These are great guys. It was about 5 years later, I was playing Risk, which is something you really can't play out here because it just takes too long. Like we're playing 8 and 10 hours. You're breaking that game up over multiple days, and we're playing the game, and we were sitting there and laughing and screaming, and it was hilarious. And arguing with each other, guys are making deals and then breaking the deals and invading each other's countries, and they're like, oh, you fucking prick. Just hilarious. And I remember we were laughing so hard one time, and I'd been laughing so long, my stomach hurt. And we were laughing, and I remember thinking, boy, there's no place I'd rather be. But these guys are great. This is great. This is a great moment. And that guy 5 years earlier that I thought was insane, he was absolutely 100% right.
I know the feeling. I had a little rock band that I started with 4 guys, and there was moments we were playing. We didn't even know we were in prison. We have the music room, and we're rocking out, and and we're just making up. Everything's. It's like all my childhood dreams of being in a band. And
but
just
never done out here.
Never done that out here, and we had time to fine tune these songs, and it sounded so good. And we looked, and people were watching us and clapping, and just that moment, man. It's like, this is. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I think what's important is to hold on to that out here. Like the person I was when I went into prison is absolutely not the person I am now. Do I want to make money? Of course I want to make money. But honestly, that is not in my to pay my bills, okay, but that is not in the decision making when I choose to do something. I need to make a certain amount of money every month for my bills, but I'm doing things because I enjoy it or I like it, and I want to do it. And yet I am making my bill. I'm very easily making my bills at this point, which is great.
And now when you make money, it's honest money. It's different, right? It's, you know what I mean?
I'm not worried about it. I'm not looking over my shoulder. I'm not concerned about it. I'm not.
Yeah. You earned it. When there's taking money, and because I did that too. But now when I get a paycheck, this is rightfully mine. It's
Well, I tell you, I spend a lot less frivolously than I used to. Like I used to, I never looked at the tag. That shirt, I want it. I don't care if it's $90. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Now it's like, how much? Oh, hell no. I'll go to Ross.
Yeah.
I'll go to Marshall's. I buy everything at Target, Walmart, Ross, or Marshall's, or Bell's.
Okay.
Or TJ Maxx. I haven't bought anything from a department store. I go in there and I see a shirt for $115. Like, are you out of your mind? No, I'm good. I'm not paying that.
Yeah. I go to the dollar stores, and it's like commissary to me, and it's only $1. I go, I come back with a big bag of commissary. I'm so happy. The dollar store. Yeah, man. All right, man. Well, I know you got, a whole life out there. I just want to, thank you so much for coming on your show. Whatever I can do to help you out, man. If you need me for anything, you got my number. But guys, watch. Look, I'm going to have links to your channel, and you guys out there, if you stuck through the video this far, you need to watch Matt's videos all the way through. Like, ring the bell, do all that. Buy his merch. That's merchandise for us old folks out there, right? They call it merch now, but anyways, you know, check out his books and his paintings. His, you know, you got some really good art out there, and I might even, you had a Marilyn Monroe one, I think you did, right?
Yeah, I actually just screen printed a Marilyn Monroe. Like I do what's called a modified screen print. But yeah. I'm working on a few of them. I do them over and over and over. I'll do the same one over and over and over again. Yeah,
I got my eye on one of those. When I get enough, I think I'm gonna hit you up for one. All right, Matt. Have a great day. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much, man. All right.
All right, no problem.
You bet.
Thanks.